Good morning to everyone. Today I am going to discuss The Boy Who Broke the Bank. It is a short story which was written by Ruskin Bond. Let me discuss about the author in this paragraph. The story was written by Ruskin Bond. He is Indian born British origin who lives in Himachal Pradesh. He has written many books for children. He lived in Mosari for 12 years and he loved the mountain environment. This paragraph explains about the author. It says that the author, Ruskin Bond, who lives in Himachal Pradesh and he has written many books for children. And he lived in Musari for 12 years and he loved the mountain environment. Now, characters of the story. The story characters are Seth Govindram is the owner of the bank. Nathu is the sweeper boy of the bank. Sitaram is the washerman's son. Mrs. Srivastava, where Sitaram works as washerman in Mrs. Srivastava house. Mrs. Bhushan is the friend of Mrs. Srivastava. Mr. Bhushan is the husband of Mrs. Bhushan. And Kamal Kishore is the owner of the photograph shop. Deepchand is the barber. Ganpat is the beggar. These are the characters of the story. The story takes place in People Nagar. In this photograph, you can see that there is a bank which is located in People Nagar. The Boy Who Broke the Bank is a short story about a boy who was working as a sweeper in a bank. As the bank did not pay salary on time, a rumor got spread that the bank had no money. The story is basically about how rumors and lacks of communication can cause many problems and be destructive. In this paragraph, the author explains that The Boy Who Broke the Bank is a short story, and the boy works as a sweeper in a bank which is located in People Nagar. And as the bank did not pay salary on time, a rumor got spread that the bank had no money. This story is basically about how rumors and lack of communication can cause many problems and be destructive. Rumor means in Telugu it is called as pukaru. And you can see that in the first photo there is a sweeper boy, and in the second photo you can see that a washerman is washing the clothes. And as per the story, you can consider sweeper boy as Nathu, whereas the other photo you can consider as a Sitaram, who is a washerman's son. Nathu is a sweeper in People Nagar Bank. Seth Govindram is the owner of the bank. Nathu has not got his payment of that month. The manager does not understand the difficulties of Nathu. Sitaram is a friend of Nathu, understands his problem and advises him to search for another job. When Sitaram meets Mrs. Srivastava and knows that she needs a sweeper, he tells her that his friend Nathu will join the work from the next month. He also tells her that Nathu is working for a bank and he is not getting his payments and want to leave the bank. Let me explain the paragraph. In this paragraph, Nathu is a sweeper boy in People Nagar Bank, and the owner of the bank, as I explained you earlier, said Govind Ram. And in this paragraph, the author explains that Nathu has not got payment for that month, and Sitaram is a friend of Nathu. Sitaram understands his problem and advises him to search for another job. When Sitaram meets Mrs. Srivastava, he explains the situation of Nathu because when Sitaram entered, when Sitaram before entering her house, he listens that Mrs. Srivastava is in look of a sweeper boy. So what happens? Immediately Sitaram will tell to Mrs. Srivastava that he has a friend who works as a sweeper boy. If she is interested, he will talk to his friend Nathu and make sure that he can work in Mrs. Srivastava house. And he also explains that why Nathu is looking for a job, because Nathu is working for a bank and is not getting his payments. So he want to leave the bank. This is the explanation of the paragraph. And in this photo, you can see that it is a shop of Kamal Kishore Photoshop. How the Photoshop will be related to this story, I'll explain. Mrs. Srivastava tells to her friend Mrs. Bhushan about the poor condition of the bank by saying that Seth Govindrao's bank cannot pay its employees. What happens when Sitaram explains the situation of the bank to Mrs. Srivastava? When Mrs. Srivastava meets her friend Mrs. Bhushan, she she will tell to Mrs. Bhushan that because of poor condition of the bank, Seth Govind Ram is not able to pay to its employees. What happens here? Mrs. Bhushan misinterprets the talk and says that if they cannot pay the sweeper, they must be in a bad condition. Mrs. Bhushan went in search of her husband, who was sitting in front of a photographer shop. Kamal Kishore is the owner of the shop. Mrs. Bhushan tells Kishore that People Nagar Bank has stopped paying salaries to its employees. Then Kamal Kishore inquires Deep Chand, who is a barber and has an account in People Nagar Bank. So the explanation of the paragraph is, when Mrs. Srivastava meets Mr. Bhushan, she says that bank is not able to pay to its employee because of its poor condition. When she explains to Mrs. Bhushan, she misinterprets the talk and says that if they cannot pay the sweeper, they must be in a bad condition. And after speaking to her friend Mrs. Srivastava, Mrs. Bhushan went in search of her husband, who was sitting in front of a photographer shop. And Kamal Kishore is the owner of the shop. Mrs. Bhushan tells Kishore that People Nagar Bank has stopped paying salaries to its employees. It's completely miscommunication is happening here. Then Kamal Kishore, he inquires Deep Chand, who is the barber and has an account in People Nagar Bank. Next paragraph. Kamal Kishore advises him to draw the money from his account as soon as he can. At the time, Deep Chand was cutting the hair of a gentleman, and by hearing this news, the gentleman ran to a nearby shop and dialed to Seth Govindram. But Seth was not at home. He was in Kashmir, a holidaying trip. The gentleman did not believe this news and told Deep Chand that Seth has left the town. Deep Chand told the bird has flown. The news spread like a forest fire in the town. When Kamal Kishore, explanation of this paragraph, Kamal Kishore advises him to draw the money from his account as soon as he can, because Kamal Kishore came to know that the bank don't have money from Mrs. Bhushan. So immediately he advises Deep Chand, who is cutting the hair of a gentleman. And by hearing this news, the gentleman ran to a near shop and dialed to Seth Govindram. When the gentleman dialed to Govindram, he came to know that Seth was not at home. This gentleman did not believe this news and told Deepchand that Seth had left the town. After listening this, Deepchand immediately told that the bird has flown, and this news spread like a forest fire in the town. And in this paragraph, you can see uh, a crooked person along with 1000 rupees. How these photos are related to this story, I will explain. One incident added more humor in the situation. I'm reading the paragraph. One incident added more humor in the situation. The beggar, namely old Ganapat, who has a crooked leg, astonished everyone, leaping to his feet and started running at top speed in the direction of the bank. He had 1000 rupees in savings. Men stood in groups and started discussing the situation. Everyone started drawing their money from the bank. By the noon, small bank had gone through all its ready cash and the manager was in a dilemma. Emergency funds cannot be obtained from another bank. Other banks are at 30 miles distant areas. So the bank requested the people to come the next day. But the people did not like that and started shouting, "Now, now, now." Let me explain this paragraph. There was a beggar, namely old Ganapat, who has a crooked leg in the People Nagar. What happened? He came to know that bank, there is a problem in a bank. Immediately what Ganapat did is he started to leap on his feet and start running at top speed in the direction of the bank. Why he is going to the bank? Because he had saved 1000 rupees. He went to the bank, he withdrawn the amount. Men stood in groups and started discussing the situation. They started to think that if even a beggar is collecting the money from the bank, that is, he is withdrawing the money from the bank. Just imagine how the situation of the bank. After looking to Ganpat, everyone started drawing their money from the bank. By the noon, small bank had gone through all its ready cash, and the manager was in dilemma. The manager was thinking, how can I arrange the money? Because all of the people who are living in People Nagar are withdrawing the amount. Emergency funds cannot be obtained from another bank as they are 30 miles distant areas. So the bank requested the people to come the next day, but people did not like that and started shouting, "Now, now, now." Next paragraph. People who did not have a paisa in the bank also joined the crowd and provoked them. Some people started throwing stone at the glasses and crashed them. The next day Nathu came to sweep the steps of the bank and wondered, who would have thought the bank would collapse? He said to himself and waited for the manager to get his payment. And people, the explanation of this paragraph, the people who don't have the savings in the bank, they also shouted and they joined along with the crowd and provoked them. And some people started throwing stones at the glasses and crashed them. When next day, Nathu, as usually, he came to the bank and he wondered who would have thought the bank would collapse. He said to himself and waited for the manager to get his payments. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching the video. Requesting all the students to participate in the test, which will be very useful for the examination. That's all for today. I will meet you in the next class. Thank you.